Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to today's class. Thank you for joining me. We'll get started in just a moment, but I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Brian, and this is my second recorded class, so thank you for your patience and your feedback. And we are going to get started in just a moment. So, in terms of some ways to make this more comfortable, if you have issues with your knees, what I like to do is I like to roll my mat up a little bit in this manner so that there's a little more cushion and padding underneath my knees. And we are going to get started on the ground. You can take a yogi pose like this where you're sitting back in your ankles. If that's not available, then you can also come down to sit with your legs crossed one over the other. Or you can stack one on top of the other, whatever's most comfortable for you. And we're just going to take a few moments and let's dial into the good energy and the effort that we're going to create in this space. So I invite you to sit with your hands in a gratitude position. You can ground down with your hands on your knees, or you can sit with your palms facing up. As we take a couple deep breaths together, so on the inhale, hold it at the top, and exhale. Squeeze all the air out of your lower body and hold it at the bottom for a count of 4. 3, 4, inhale through your nose. Hold it at the top for a count of 4, 2, 3, exhale. One more just like that. Inhale. Second, a little more. Hold it at the top. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. Squeeze everything out. Squeeze it out of your lower body. On your next inhale, close your mouth. And we're going to keep your mouth closed and practice Ujjayi breath, which is a firm rhythmic breath against the back of your throat with your mouth closed, exhaling through your nose. You can almost hear the sound of your own breath as a wave, as a crescendo coming from your mouth. So inhale. And now, before we get started, go ahead and come to a gratitude position, squeezing both hands together at your heart space, and let's set your intention for today's practice. I am already free. Okay, if you have your intention set, go ahead and squeeze your hands together very firm and put a little heat behind your intention. On your next inhale, we're going to come up to a tabletop position. So this is where you can stack your knees on top of your mat. Your hands are going to be right underneath your elbows, and your knees are going to stack right underneath your hips. As you inhale, squeeze your belly in and allow your lower back to tuck in slightly, your tailbone. As you exhale, allow your crown of your head to come a little forward over your arms so you're very, very flat and narrow. On your next inhale, squeeze your chest rib bones to the back of your belly and keep your firm torso as you're exhaling. If you want to put a little movement into your pose, you can do circles with your hips. On the inhale, you come to about halfway around your circle, and then on your exhale, you complete the circle. You can also do cat and cows, a real easy way to warm up into our movement, so nothing too stressful to get started. And if you're doing circles, go ahead and on your next time that you come to the end of your circle, go ahead and reverse to the other side. We'll have one more of these and we'll meet in a neutral tabletop. So here we are, neutral tabletop. So we're gonna walk out our tabletop. So while you're grounding down in your right hand and in your left foot and your knee, you're gonna slowly allow your torso with a tight core and your shoulders pulled back to lift up your left hand and your right knee. Hold that for a breath in and then lower it down. And then you're going to switch to the other side. So you're going to power down into your left hand, feel your fingers and your knuckles going into the ground, and also slowly lift up on the opposing side. You'll see that you might wobble a little bit, you might shake a little bit. Repeat it on each side. So we're going to walk it out with your breath. You can move at your own pace during today's flow. So if you are just getting started in your yoga, there's no need to keep up with your neighbor. There's no need to judge yourself by the last practice that you had. Your body's in a different place today. Everything is different, so we're just going to be real easy with ourselves. There's no good, there's no bad, there's no indifferent. It's just you, your breath, and allowing to come into contact with what your body needs during this time. So as you're walking out your tabletop, what you're activating is a cross-diagonal strength across your body. So the opposing sides of your torso are activating, and it's teaching your brain to balance and to establish mobility and strength all at the same time. If you'd like a little more advanced position, what you can also do is instead of just walking out, you can do more of an actual bird dog. So your right hand is going to extend far in front of you. Your head is going to tuck your chin and look slightly down in front of your mat, while your left leg is extending back and lower. If you do that again on the other side, left hand up, right foot back. I'm going to pull my shoulder into the pocket, so it's not going to be an overextension, and I'm also going to allow my right sit bone to hug towards my midline. And I'm feeling very strong. I'm pressing down in my right hand and in my lower knee, and I'm allowing my core, my torso, to lift me up higher and to get a full extension. Let's go to the other side. So ground down. Left foot floats up, right hand folds up, hold it for a breath. And let's do that together at your own pace. Okay, one more, last time. Float your leg up, take a deep breath in. Hold it at the top, squeeze your core, your torso, lower down, and as you exhale. All right, you can slide out your mat. Whew. Doesn't take much, and I already break a sweat, so I hope that you are warming up as well. All right, let's come into a plank position. So a plank is going to be with your hands underneath your shoulders. Your fingertips are going to be, your pointer fingers are going to be pointing straight out in front of you with your hands wide and grounded into the ground. Extend your legs behind you in an elevated position. If this is too tough, then you can also lower down to the ground, so this will be a little bit easier on your knees. You want to activate your core. Have a slight tuck in your chin so that your crown of your head is growing tall. And you're going to allow your core and your lower belly to squeeze tight towards your midline in your frame. And you're pushing your arms up with your shoulders down and back in your core. So it's a very active position. And you want to float forward a little bit. And then we're going to lower ourselves down together. So we'll meet on the ground. All right, let's move into Cobra. So we'll activate our lower body. We're going to cinch our legs together. So your left and right leg come together. You can squeeze your inner thighs so that you have a lot of grounding connectivity between your body, and that your torso, the triangle of your pelvis is firmly grounding into the ground. So if you were trying to lift me off the ground, you would have a very tough time doing so. All right, so we're going to start with our hands underneath our shoulders with a slight tuck in your chin, just a neutral neck position right in front of you, grounding down. And as you breathe up, you're going to float your arms and your shoulders up. And hold it. And lower it back down. On your next breath in, float everything up. And lower down. You can face the other side on your way down. Get a little movement in your neck. On your next one, if you want a little more challenge, I invite you to bring your hands to the front corners of your mat. Still activate your lower body as you press down, but as you use your torso to come up, you're going to feel an abdominal stretch in your front of your body. So this is moving into a more progressed pose. So your shoulders are locked into your sockets. They're not hunched in your shoulders. You're not putting pressure on the top of your neck. You're firm. You're grounding into the ground with your fingertips. And lower down. Let's do that again. So feet together, active in the lower body, your knees, your thighs, everything is pushing down. I'm pushing up. Let's do one more. Okay, we're gonna stay in this position. So actually you stay on the ground. Your feet can separate a little bit, but I want your hands to stay still in front of you. Maybe not as far out as a full extension, but definitely on the ground. And we're going to do like we did with our walking tabletop. You're gonna raise your right foot and your left hand at the same time while your core and your body is active. You're not using your shoulders and your sit bones, but I'm really allowing your core, your active core, to float these items up. And so you're going to feel this going from the top of your shoulder to the back of your hip in terms of that's where the strength, that's where the active, the energy is going. So lower down. So these are like a walking Superman would be the term if you wanted to give it a cheeky name. So again, your core is tight, everything is squeezing towards the midline, you're getting a really good activation across your body and throughout your torso. And this is going to prevent you from getting injured, whether you're in yoga or whether you're doing a workout. This is a great way to get all those little muscles that we don't use during the day while we're sitting at our desks, to have them to be active, have them to be ready for engagement, and ready to help distribute the weight from what you're lifting across your body. It's a very good warm-up. It's an active warm-up. All right, when you're done, when your next exhale, go ahead and put your hands back under your chest, and you're gonna push up into another plank. So with your hands underneath your shoulders, grounded into the ground, your arms are attached to your back of your ribs. Press yourself up. And if you want, we're gonna turn into a quick side plank. So your right hand can come to the center line underneath you. Allow your left hand to float up. If you need to take a little bit of a modification, allow your foot to come and support you behind you, or you can also do this on your side, so you can have a little more support. And we're just going to do a side plank. So you're going to come down and up, down and up, squeezing the side of your torso, not so much what are these called? The swimmer lines, you know, these guys on the side. This is what you're warming up. And then come down, back to plank, take a breath in. You can lower down to a chaturanga or to a chest push-up if you want. You can come back to the plank, and we're gonna switch to the other side. So on the side plank, there's a lot of activity going down into that hand that's on the ground, while your core is very active, pushing towards the ceiling, and your hand is also floating towards the roof. When you're all done, come back to a tabletop. Let's go ahead and take a break if you want. You can get into a little child's pose position. Take a little breather, a little breath in, a little breath out, never hurt anybody. All right. Now let's come back up. We're going to lower onto our body, onto our back. Let's go ahead and we're going to come into a bridge position. If you have a block, we're going to be using some of these accessories today. So I invite you to put the block here in between your inner thighs, and your feet are going to come down very close to your butt and to your sit bones with a straight line, so that you're able to firmly press into the ground as you are squeezing your block in between your thighs. And there's a lot of different ways that you can go into this position. You can activate your butt, you can use your core, you can use your lower legs. What I'd like for you to do is not to put everything into your upper body, into your hips, but to feel that you're pressing down into your feet, and that your hips and everything are floating up. And so you have a very, very strong lower body. And then your hands can either remain at your sides, or you can walk your shoulders in slightly underneath each other, allowing your long, flat neck to stay on the ground. And to hold this position. So here, as you breathe in, you're allowing your body to float up. And on your exhale, you're going to squeeze those legs tighter and allow your knees to move away from you. So your knees are going to go a little bit more actively towards your toes. Squeezing, squeezing, squeezing your bridge, squeezing the block. You're going to feel this in your inner thighs and your psoas muscles. And every part of your lower body is going to get a good activation. Let's stay here for another 2 breaths. And on your next exhalation, lower back down. All right, you can put the block to your side. We got one more move down here. We are going to do a dead bug, so allow your legs to float up over your knees to bend and to float over your hips. Bring your arms as well to match them, and you're going to put your left leg down and your right hand back, so you're going to have that similar cross-body connection that we had earlier. So your shoulders are in the socket, they're not overextending. You're getting a full extension in your foot and in your arms, but your arms are also, everything's coming towards your midline. You're not way over here, you're very much right in front of your body, and your limbs are pulling in towards the midline to activate your core. You should feel this in the front of your body line. Let's do that a couple more times together. Left leg back, right hand back, big stretch, hold, bring it together. On your next inhale, limbs go down. On your exhale, bring them back. Inhale, your lower back is firmly on the floor. Your shoulders are firm into the ground. When you're done, wait for a second. You can do sway your legs from side to side, so you can take your feet a little wider than your mat and allow that sway in action just to loosen up your hips. So as your legs are swinging down low, you are looking towards the other side of your body. So as they go to the left, my face goes to the right, my gaze. As they go to the right, my gaze goes to the left. Just real easy, little warm up. And then we're going to rock ourselves up onto our feet, or we are going to meet in the front of our mat in a standing position, however you want to get there. It's a great time to have a little water, take a little breather, dry yourself off if you need. We're going to meet in the front of our mat. Okay, so at the front of your mat, go ahead and allow your feet to be about hip width apart. Now, ground down, feel your body pressing down into the ground. And actually, we're going to walk your feet in a little bit closer to where your toes can almost touch. And then again, we're going to grab that block. We're going to squeeze that block here underneath in between our inner thighs as we do all these standing pose warm-ups to really feel a very strong activation in your psoas, in your inner thighs, and also how you ground down firmly into the ground. So on your next deep breath, just bring your arms up over your head, allowing your shoulders to remain in the socket, not overextending, not overreaching with your shoulders. And on your breath down, bring your hands to your side. Your palms will face out. You'll have a slight tuck in your chin as you are activating your lower body. There's a lot of coordination going on to squeeze those legs. You can feel those quads, those inner thighs become active. I invite you to close your eyes and to think of your intention. And just to stand in this tall, strong space, feeling how strong you are, how active you are, as we take 3 breaths together. Feel the power and the warming energy moving through your open palms as you are actively pressing your fingers away. So it's a very active position in your fingertips, almost as if rainbows were radiating from your fingers and going in directly where you point your hands. So very, very active, big hand stretch. On your next inhalation, bring your shoulders up, and then be sure you roll them down on your exhalation and come back to that firm position with your inner thighs, your belly's tucked. Okay, and your next inhalation, float your arms up, overhead, and we're going to do a little bend to the right-hand side. So as you exhale, allow your body to come to your right and ground down in your left foot so that you feel yourself growing taller. Remember to lower those shoulders. As you inhale, you're going to allow yourself to float up a little bit, and as you exhale, you get a little bit deeper into that side stretch. As you exhale, bring it over to the other side, so meet in the center, and then come to the other side to your left. Your right foot, is going to be pushing firmly into the ground. If you're still holding that block between your thighs, you're going to be gripping both of those thighs together, but pushing down into it with your right foot. Come up. Let's do that again. Okay, very good. So you can get that block from between your legs. We are going to go into our flow now. So it'll be a very quick vinyasa. And then we will get into a little more of our complicated practice. So standing on your mat, we're going to float the arms up with a baby back bend, angel dive to the front forward fold. Stay here in the front forward fold for a moment. Take a breath in to a flat back. Exhale, allow yourself to fall lower. And we're just going to stay here for just a moment. So as we lower, get that forward fold, take a deep breath in. Lower down as you open mouth, exhale. One more time. Okay, let's meet in a flat back. Come down to chaturanga. So go through your flow, lower into chaturanga. Press up into up dog or into king cobra. Meet into down dog. On your next inhale, do a toe stretch. Allow your ankles and your heels to float up. On your next exhale, lower that down. On your next inhale, bend your knees, look towards the front of your mat, walk, step, or float to the front of your mat, and come back up to a neutral spine, flat back, lower down on the exhale, and let's ground down as you reach and meet in the top of your position with your hands in gratitude. Okay, from here, take a half step back behind your mat with either your left or your right foot. We're going to meet in Warrior 1. So this is also like a runner's lunge to where your foot can be up and facing forward with your hips squared. Or if you can press your feet firmly, the knife edge of your foot into the lower part of your mat, you can also have a more traditional position. But for many people, just being up with your foot forward like this is accessible, a bit of more of a runner stretch, and that's where we're going to start. So from that position, with your feet firm into the ground, so I can feel my big toe, I can feel my pinky toe, I can feel the ball of my foot pressing down into the ground. On my back foot, I can feel strength and balance, and I'm not wobbling. I have lots of mobility in this position. As I sink down, I tuck the back of my hip underneath my pelvis. I bring my shoulders back and down, active in my core, and I look forward as I float my arms up. Torso's facing towards the front, slight tuck in my chin. I'm going to stand here for a few moments and lower down into my Warrior 1. With each inhalation, I rise up, and with each exhalation, I sink down a little lower. Now be mindful of your knee. Your knee is not going to be too far to the front, too far to the side, just firmly right over your ankle. You should be able to look down with a slight glimpse and see your toe wobbling around like mine, but hopefully your toe is firm. But let's just stay here for a few minutes. Your hands can be up over your shoulders with your fingers to the back. You can take a goddess position or cactus arms. You can do eagle arms. It's really your call. Take 2 more breaths together. One more. Deep breath in. Hold it at the top. Open mouth, exhale, squeeze it all out. Okay, firm down into your front foot while you bring your left foot to meet your front and the right. You can shake it out a little bit. Feel the release and the different levels of energy that are flowing through your right hip versus your left hip. So you can feel that right now there is a more open effect on your right, but let's go ahead and get that to the left. So from the top of your mat, you're going to step back your left foot, similar to what we did in Warrior 1, but we're going to go into a Warrior 2 position. So you are going to have your foot at the knife angle of your back leg, but instead of having a front facing hips, you're going to allow your hips to come towards the side of the long edge of your mat. So your right foot and knee are still, here, your right foot and knee are still tracking over your heel, while your left foot is a knife edge that's firm and fixed into the ground behind you. On your next inhalation, bring your arms up, float them high to like a T shape. If you are shrugging your shoulders, a great way to get rid of that is to flip your hands up. So on your next inhalation, flip your palms up and then lower them back down. That's going to naturally relax your shoulders and you will no longer be shrugging your shoulders. That's no good. And let's squeeze that core, squeeze that torso tight, have a small tuck in your hips. As you're gazing over the hand in front of you, your body is moving in a different position. So you can almost take your top of your right chest is pulling this way while your left torso is strong and stretching the other way. Same on the other side. Your left ribs and chest are moving the opposite direction of your hip flexors on your right hand side. So you have this great dichotomy of movement and activity that's holding you up, and you're actually just floating in the middle without too much pressure on the front or the back. You're just floating right in the middle as you sink down lower on each exhalation. So let's do that together, and I'll quit talking and we can just practice. And so just go with your breath. Okay, let's take one more breath together. Hold it at the top. And exhale with open mouth. Okay, open your eyes. Now you're going to turn your right foot towards the long edge of your mat. Sink back into your left foot with a small activation of your heel. And bring yourself up to the front of your mat, squeezing your left leg into your right. So we'll meet at the front of our mats. We're going to do another breath in. Bring your hands up. So hands are over your chest, floating up. Angel dive down. With a flat back, inhalation. Forward fold, exhalation. Again, flat back, inhale. Let's do a chaturanga. So come down, inhale. Up dog. Exhale to downward dog. Take one more breath in. Push yourself away. Push, 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 push. And we're going to lower down and meet in a child's pose. So child's pose for you is going to be a wide angle with your feet and your toes touching, but your knees are spread wide apart. You can walk your hands out as you fully allow a stretch between your upper body grounding down into the ground. Maybe you rest your brow on the ground and come into a peaceful position. Or if you like a more traditional child's pose, your legs can be together, your hands can be by your side, and you can also just come down here and allow your third eye just to rest on the mat while you take 3 deep breaths in and 3 exhalations. Return to your standard breathing. Deep breath in, open mouth exhale. On your next breath, go ahead and stabilize yourself. Push yourself under your hands under your shoulders. And we're going to meet back in either that easy seat or in that yogi position. We're going to take a position of gratitude. And we'll close our practice thinking of our intention. Grateful for someone or something in our life. Namaste.